Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Kelly, a 35-year-old graphic designer who finds joy in the world of art and has a deep affection for animals. My life unfolded in a way that many would find familiar, marked by the typical highs and lows of both marriage and career. My husband Benjamin is a software engineer, a man of logic and routine with whom I've shared a decade of marriage. In our home, we have the joy of sharing life with Simba, our lively and loving golden retriever, who has been a cherished member of our family. For the past 5 years, life unfolded in a familiar rhythm, cozy and I believed fulfilling, yet hidden beneath the surface of everyday life. A restless spirit stirred within me, longing for an adventure, a thrill that transcended the confines of my orderly existence. It was more than the sameness of everyday tasks or the familiarity of our suburban lives. It was profound, a murmur of unease that resonated within me each time I found myself in solitude with my reflections one evening while I was immersed in my sketches in the studio. The quietude of the house was suddenly pierced by the faint echo of Benjamin's laughter. In the living room, he sat captivated by a tech documentary, his laughter echoing softly, a rare melody that often wrapped me in warmth, yet this evening it seemed to echo the distance that had grown between us. I paused, my pencil suspended above the paper, and it struck me that I hadn't experienced a genuine sense of vitality in what felt like an eternity. The following morning, an unmistakable tension hung in the air. The anticipation surged within me, quickening my heartbeat, as I envisioned the unfolding events of the day to come. Another day on the familiar path, the routine workplace, the ongoing tasks. Each day unfolded like a familiar tale, a repetition of the one before, echoing the same scenes and emotions. As I savored my coffee, observing Benjamin carefully plan his day, I pondered whether this was truly the entirety of existence. On that particular day at work, my thoughts wandered far beyond the tasks at hand. While I was meant to be crafting a new logo for a client, I got lost in the moment sketching abstract shapes that danced freely, much like the ideas swirling in my mind. My colleagues caught a glimpse of my wandering thoughts, yet I waved away their worries with a practiced grin. The unease lingered on. It unfurled like a tendril entwining itself around my heart, tightening its grip until each breath felt like a struggle. I began to ponder all that surrounded me. Is this the journey I envisioned? Could this truly be the extent of my fate? One weekend, Benjamin proposed an adventure into the great outdoors, a journey we hadn't embarked on in quite some time. A notion ignited within me a glimmer of thrill intertwined with a twinge of apprehension. What if even the wonders of nature couldn't bridge this emptiness? With our gear in tow, Simba, our enthusiastic friend, danced around us, his tail a blur of excitement as we wandered into the woods, surrounded by the thick canopy of leaves overhead. A sense of tranquility washed over me. In that moment, the air felt invigorating. The earth beneath was gentle, and a rare stillness enveloped everything around. But then, as we entered a clearing, my eyes fell upon something that would alter the course of our journey forever. In the heart of the clearing, a figure emerged. A man standing still and resolute. He stood out with his wild appearance, marked by long unruly hair. An attire that felt like it belonged to another time. He was painting each brushstroke, filled with intensity and fervor, as if he were weaving a tale with colors. I was captivated not only by the artistry, but by the liberation in his motions, the unfiltered vitality that appeared to flow from him. With a knowing glance, Benjamin gently prodded me, drawing my attention away from my thoughts. "What has captured your attention?" Words failed me, my heart raced. not merely from the exertion of the hike, but from the unexpected epiphany that this was the very thing I had been longing for. This untamed spirit, this liberation to share without limits. The man caught sight of us, his gaze meeting mine, and in that fleeting moment, it seemed as if he could peer directly into my soul, uncovering the layers of my unease. With a grin that hinted at secrets untold, he returned to his canvas brush in hand. That encounter ignited a fire within, setting everything ablaze. It sparked a fire inside me, a yearning to escape the confines of the ordinary, to venture into the untamed realms of existence I had only ever dreamed about. Yet what could ever shatter this picture-perfect existence? At that moment, I was unaware that the question would soon reveal its secrets, guiding me along an unexpected journey. It began just like any other day. As Benjamin set off for work, he leaned in to plant a gentle kiss on my lips, whispering a promise that he'd return by dinner time. On my day off, I envisioned diving into some freelance projects and maybe taking Simba for a leisurely stroll in the park. The morning unfolded quietly, with nothing remarkable to note. As I focused on my tasks, Simba frolicked nearby, filling the stillness of the house with the occasional bark and the rhythmic tapping of my keyboard. As the hours passed, I noticed my mind wandering more and more. My mind drifted away from my tasks, lingering instead on a feeling of unease, an emptiness that eluded definition. In a moment of inspiration, I chose to take Simba out a bit earlier than my usual routine, believing that the crisp air might help to refresh my thoughts. As we strolled along, I couldn't help but observe the vibrant spirit of Simba, which stood in stark contrast to my own sluggishness. His joy spread like wildfire, and for a fleeting moment, I felt a sense of lightness, a vibrant pulse of life within me. Yet, as we made our way back home, that sense of void returned more intense than ever. Asterisk. What tales had I overlooked? What was I on a quest to discover? Asterisk. The house loomed large and hollow, its vastness echoing despite the presence of Simba by my side. I attempted to concentrate on my freelance projects, yet my mind wandered to the figure lurking in the woods. His untamed locks, his unwavering concentration, the manner in which his brush glided gracefully across the canvas. Every detail played out in my imagination with striking clarity. There was an undeniable sense that he embodied a crucial element I was yearning for in my existence. I chose to put pencil to paper, aiming to seize that untamed spirit in my drawings. Yet, each stroke seemed contrived, devoid of the fervor I had witnessed in him. With a sigh of exasperation, I flung my sketchbook away and drifted into the kitchen. The clock indicated it was just past noon, yet the day unfolded before me like a vast, uncharted journey. As I filled my glass with wine, a rare indulgence for daylight hours, I sensed that today held a unique promise. As I savored my drink, my mind wandered to thoughts of Benjamin. He was a steadfast presence, full of warmth and affection. Yet our journey together had settled into a rhythm that felt all too familiar. I cherished him deeply, but was that truly sufficient? The wine enveloped me, easing the tension that had held my restlessness captive. I strolled to the window, observing the bustling world beyond a vibrant tapestry, unfolding without my presence. In the stillness of the neighborhood, the familiar sounds of suburban life faded into a gentle hush. In that moment, I came to understand the depth of my solitude, a separation that extended beyond the people around me and reached into the very core of my being. As I sat there lost in thought, Simba approached me gently, nudging my hand with his nose, as if he understood the weight of the moment. As I gently scratched behind his ears, I felt the softness of his fur beneath my fingertips, a moment that seemed to weave a tale of warmth and connection. "What are your thoughts, Simba? Should I simply release my grip?" I murmured softly, as if sharing a secret with the air around us. His tail wagged with excitement, his eyes sparkling with unwavering trust and affection. The afternoon unfolded slowly. I attempted to immerse myself in a book, yet the words transformed into indistinct forms, losing their significance. My thoughts drifted to that clearing where I observed the man pouring his passion onto the canvas. I envisioned myself in that moment, not merely observing, but fully immersed in the experience, liberated from the limitations of my everyday existence. As the hour for dinner drew near, anticipation filled the air for Benjamin's arrival. I put together a straightforward dish, yet my spirit felt absent. As he stepped inside, his familiar salutation seemed to echo from a distant memory, a line we had both memorized long ago. "What tales do you have from your day?" he inquired, his tone steeped in the familiarity of everyday life. It had a unique quality. I responded, unsure of how to convey the whirlwind of feelings churning inside me. As we sat together, the quiet enveloped us, with only the soft clatter of our utensils breaking the stillness. Benjamin shared the events of his day, detailing a new project at work. Yet his words seemed to drift in from a distant realm. I nodded and smiled. Yet my thoughts wandered, lingering in that forest, still with that man. After dinner, Benjamin nestled into his familiar nook on the couch, the gentle hum of his documentary weaving a tapestry of stories in the background. I sat beside him. Yet my mind was a cacophony, overshadowing the storyteller's words. I was searching for a spark, a twist of fate to pull me from this monotonous cycle. The memory of the man's painting resurfaced, clear and striking. His art was visceral, unrefined, and it resonated deeply within me. I yearned to embrace that sense of liberation, that untamed spirit, if only for a fleeting instant. That night, with Benjamin peacefully dreaming beside me, I found myself wide awake, gazing at the ceiling. The turmoil within me swelled like a tempest poised to erupt at any moment. In that moment, I realized a transformation was necessary. Uncertainty surrounded me, yet I felt the unmistakable presence of transformation on the horizon. The meeting in the woods was the beginning, the ignition that awakened my hidden longings. As I shut my eyes, seeking the embrace of slumber, I murmured softly into the void, "I must discover my untamed spirit." Upon returning home, the stillness enveloped me like a heavy blanket. I attempted to dispel the discomfort by immersing myself in my tasks, yet my concentration was fragmented. The house was steeped in silence, an emptiness that mirrored the chaos within me. In a quest to break the stillness, I played some music, yet even the lively melodies failed to elevate my mood. They appeared to highlight the void, the absence of something essential in my existence. As I sat there lost in thought, Simba approached me gently, nudging my side with his damp nose as if he understood the weight of my feelings. In a tender moment, I felt his warmth wrap around me, and I leaned into him, craving the safety of his unwavering devotion. His warmth painted a vivid picture against the chilling backdrop of my own discontent. What unfolded next was beyond my wildest imagination, an event that would linger in my mind, testing every ounce of my principles. In the quiet of our home, with my guard lowered, I found myself overwhelmed with loneliness, misinterpreting comfort and emotional closeness in a way that shook me deeply. In that instant, there was a swirl of uncertainty, a yearning for the extraordinary. A confusing wave of emotion washed over me, briefly blurring the lines between isolation and longing. It felt like I was on a quest to rediscover a sense of untamed spirit, a deep bond that seemed to have slipped away from my existence. The moment passed, but it left behind a haunting sense of guilt and emotional confusion. I couldn't shake embarrassment and uncertainty. The moment I understood my actions crashed down on me with overwhelming force. What led me to this moment? What implications did this hold for my relationship, for my sense of dignity? My heart raced within me, each thump echoing a tale of remorse. It was as if I stood on the brink of a great chasm, peering into the shadowy depths, crafted by my own hands. What might Benjamin express if he ever discovered the truth? The mere idea was enough to freeze one in place. In that moment, I witnessed the depth of his hurt. The swirling uncertainty reflected in his gaze, marking the conclusion of all we had created, side by side. I wandered the room, thoughts swirling, searching for a way to rewind time, to make that moment vanish into thin air. Yet time unfolds in its own unique manner. It progresses relentlessly, carrying the burden of our choices along its path. I found myself in need of a conversation, yet I wondered with whom could I share my thoughts. The weight of the shame was overwhelming, and the deed was beyond words. I couldn't share this with Benjamin. Not when our life together felt so delicate, my companions. This was far beyond what one might share in a light-hearted chat, or even in moments of heartfelt trust. As I sank into the couch, my hands cradled my head, burdened by the heaviness of my loneliness. Simba, as if he could feel my unease, settled down next to me, his head gently resting on my lap. His presence wove a tapestry of solace and a haunting echo of my misstep. I leaned in close and murmured, "What have I done, Simba? What steps can I take to resolve this issue?" Yet silence lingered, only the calm cadence of his breath, filling the air, a sharp juxtaposition to the turmoil swirling within me. The remainder of the day unfolded like a whirlwind of moments. As I sat down to create, each movement of my pencil seemed to whisper tales of doubt and blame. The words danced before my eyes, elusive and devoid of meaning. I even tried my hand at cooking, but the meal ended up tasting like burnt memories. As the sun dipped below the horizon, shadows crept in, wrapping around me like a heavy cloak. I reclined in bed, gazing at the ceiling, the stillness of the house wrapping around me like a thick, heavy shroud. Benjamin sat next to me, his breaths calm, and even completely oblivious to the turmoil raging within me. I averted my gaze from him, directing my attention to the wall as my mind spun with a flurry of thoughts. The meeting in the forest, the untamed figure, his artwork, all felt like a distant fantasy, a sharp divergence from the life I was currently experiencing. The flicker of untamed spirit I once embraced, the yearning to escape, has brought me to this poignant moment of deep remorse. It was clear to me that I needed to face this moment to seek a path toward understanding myself, Benjamin, and the journey I had embarked upon. But how can that be achieved? The journey ahead was shrouded in the consequences of my decisions, hidden beneath the weight of my past in the stillness of the night, as slumber danced just out of reach. I whispered a promise to myself. I would seek a path to recovery, to grasp this aspect of myself that had brought me to such a pivotal moment. I would venture into the untamed, ensuring that I preserved the treasures I cherished. I would seek my untamed spirit, but never at the expense of my humanity, my integrity, or my love. With that thought, I closed my eyes, envisioning the dawn as a canvas for new beginnings, where light would unveil truths and offer a path to redemption. The days that came after were a whirlwind of events I sidestepped. Benjamin's reach, his inquiries about my abrupt shift in behavior, lingering in the air. I immersed myself in tasks, in tidying up, in anything that would prevent my thoughts from drifting back to that day. Yet the harder I attempted to move on, the more it lingered in my mind. Simba, always the devoted friend, appeared unaware of the chaos he had inadvertently stirred up. His presence, once a warm embrace, now echoed with the haunting whispers of my treachery. Every glance at him stirred a whirlwind of emotions, blending warmth with an unsettling discomfort. His wagging tail and playful barks seemed to carry a weight resonating with the unspoken truths of my guilt. As I sat in quiet reflection, the thought of revealing my truth to Benjamin weighed heavily on my heart. The dread of what might happen, of shattering the beautiful life we had built together, held me captive in silence. Yet the hidden truth was gnawing at my very core. I found myself yearning for a listener, someone to share my weighty thoughts with. Yet I pondered who would be worthy of such a revelation. Revealing this shadowy truth to another seemed like an act of treachery all on its own. I began to withdraw, distancing myself from the friends I had once shared my thoughts with. Each exchange seemed fraught with tension, every inquiry a possible spark for my revelation. I'd wear a smile, offer a nod, and skillfully divert attention, yet within me, I was falling apart. The burden of my choices pressed upon me, growing more intense with every day that went by. At work, I felt like a mere echo of who I used to be. My imagination, which used to be my sanctuary, now seemed stained. Each design I encountered felt like a taunt, the lines and colors weaving together to echo my past missteps. My colleagues sensed my distance, yet I deflected their worries with a hollow laugh or an ambiguous excuse. It was during the nights that the shadows grew long, and the silence spoke volumes as I lay beside Benjamin, his calm breaths a sharp contrast to the turmoil inside me. I found myself revisiting the moment repeatedly. The comfort I found in Simba's presence became entangled with my confusion, leading to a deep wave of regret and shame. I averted my gaze from Benjamin, tears quietly tracing their path down my cheeks, engulfed by a profound sense of solitude. Would I ever summon the bravery to share what lies deep within? I started to find comfort in the ordinary, in the daily patterns that I had previously loathed. I tidied the home with great care, as though wiping away the marks of my choices, yet no level of tidiness could purify my soul. Every time I encountered Simba, a sharp ache would grip my heart, a haunting reminder of my actions and the things I had left behind. One evening, while Benjamin was captivated by yet another documentary, I stood before my sketchbook, pencil poised in hand. The empty page gazed at me, a stage for my inner chaos. I began to draw, not aiming to craft art, but to express my guilt, my confusion, my pain. The strokes were bold, the lines wild, a vivid expression of my internal struggle. The drawing was a haunting composition steeped in darkness and mystery, brimming with shadows and jagged lines, a stark contrast to the lively, colorful creations I once crafted. It felt like my essence was pouring out onto the page. Each stroke a silent revelation I couldn't articulate. Upon completion, I gazed at the outcome, a contorted, anguished creation that seemed to express a deeper truth than mere words ever could. I tucked away the sketchbook, hoping to shield Benjamin from this shadowy part of my soul. Yet concealing it did nothing to diminish the emotions it held within. I realized it was time to face this, to seek a path toward understanding myself, Benjamin, and the journey I had embarked upon. But how can that be achieved? The following day, I chose to embark on a solitary stroll, leaving Simba behind in the comfort of our home. In the stillness of the park, the familiar sounds of families and the joyful laughter of children faded into a gentle hush. As I moved forward, each step felt weighted, and my thoughts pressed down even harder. As I settled onto a bench beneath the sprawling branches of an ancient oak, the surroundings faded into a soft haze, inviting my imagination to wander. The leaves swayed softly in the breeze, their graceful movement a vivid reflection of the chaos brewing within me. I shut my eyes, seeking tranquility. Yet all that filled my mind was the untamed figure in the forest. His artistry, his liberation. That moment seemed to stretch into eternity like a dream. I had escaped only to find myself in a nightmare of my own creation. I softly spoke to the breeze, yearning to discover my untamed spirit. Yet not in this way, not at the expense of all that I hold dear. The words echoed with emptiness, yet they marked the beginning a small stride on the path to atonement. As I made my way home, I decided to find assistance not from friends, not from Benjamin, but from someone who could lead me through this shadowy path. I sought to explore this aspect of myself, this desire for the wild and untamed, while ensuring it didn't lead to my downfall. I embarked on a quest through the vast expanse of the internet, seeking out therapists and counselors who possess a deep understanding of the intricate tapestry of complex emotions, particularly those woven with threads of guilt and shame. I discovered a woman whose profile radiated warmth and empathy. I secured a date, my heart racing with anticipation as I finalized the details. That night, as I lay in bed, a flicker of hope danced in my heart. Perhaps in the midst of this turmoil, there lies a path to recovery, a chance to gain deeper insights into my own being, and a way to steer through the chaos without sacrificing it all. As Benjamin lay beside me, he instinctively reached out in his slumber, drawing me nearer with a gentle pull. I allowed him to come closer, sensing the warmth of his touch, the lingering love that remained even in the wake of my betrayal. As I shut my eyes, I softly murmured into the void, I will seek my untamed spirit, yet I will also discover my path back to you, to us. With that thought, I slipped into a fitful slumber. The initial stride toward atonement began the path ahead, still intimidating, yet essential as the night deepened, and Benjamin drifted off to sleep. I found myself alone in the living room, burdened by the heaviness of my hidden truth. The weight of my secret had become too heavy to bear. With trembling hands, I penned a letter to Benjamin, recounting all that had transpired. It was a revelation, a heartfelt request for empathy, and maybe a chance for redemption. The letter was carefully set on the kitchen table, a spot where he would surely discover it. It come morning light. That night, slumber eluded me. As I lay there wide awake, the whispers of the house surrounded me, each creak and sigh, weaving a tapestry of anticipation for the dawn that would unveil my truth. Is this the final chapter for us? Or might there still be a path leading us back from this dark place? As the dawn broke, the soft glow of the sun seeped through the curtains, creating a dance of shadows that stretched across the room. The sound of the Benjamin's footsteps echoed softly, accompanied by the gentle rustle of paper as he reached for the letter. My heart raced within me, each thump a rhythm of anxiety and anticipation. I lingered, the quiet expanding endlessly until the gentle sound of the letter returning to the table broke the stillness. The urge to rise from my bed became too strong to resist. I rose, each motion measured and intentional, as though I were navigating through a gentle stream. As I stepped into the kitchen, I found Benjamin standing there, his back turned to me, gazing out the window. The letter rested on the table, its edges a bit wrinkled from the grasp of his hands. Benjamin, I murmured, my voice sobbed. Just a soft breath against the backdrop of the refrigerator's gentle hum. He pivoted gradually, his expression a mystery. Our gazes locked, and within his eyes, I glimpsed a tempest of feelings, confusion, pain, fury, and an elusive emotion that danced just beyond my understanding. "We need to talk," he said, his voice calm yet soft. I took a seat, my legs trembling as if they were on the verge of collapsing beneath me. Benjamin sat across from me, the table dividing us like an unbridgeable chasm. "I read your letter," he began, his eyes falling to the page, text. "I'm at a loss for words, Kelly. This is something I never saw coming. I understand." I responded, my voice heavy with feeling. "It was never my intention to cause you pain, Benjamin." In that fleeting instant, I found myself adrift, a shadow of who I once was. He lifted his gaze, his eyes probing into mine. He expressed a sense of confinement, as if ensnared in our existence, bound by the monotony of our daily lives. "But what kept you from sharing with me? What compelled you to make that journey?" Emotions surged within me, clouding my sight. Fear gripped me, Benjamin, a fear of losing you. A fear of confronting my own longings. I believed I could manage it by myself. Yet it quickly became overwhelming. The room held its breath, the only sound being the clock's steady tick, each second unfolding, as if it were an eternity. Benjamin's expression grew gentler, yet the sorrow lingered in his eyes. "I love you, Kelly," he said, his voice trembling with emotion. "However, this alters the narrative. I require some moments to reflect on this, to grasp how we can proceed from here." I grasped the meaning, my voice barely above a whisper, as the gravity of his words settled in. "I've arrived, Benjamin. I'm here to share, to hear, to do whatever it takes to set things straight," he nodded, his eyes drifting back to the window, lost in thought. "I need some air," he said, rising to his feet. "I'm going to take a stroll. We'll share more tales when I return." As he stepped away, I could hear the gentle click of the door as it shut, marking the end of a moment. In the solitude of the kitchen, the quietness enveloped everything like a thick fog. As I held the letter in my hands, I immersed myself in the words I had penned, each line echoing my treachery, my uncertainty, and my yearning for the exhilarating, the unrestrained. As time unfolded, each moment was steeped in a blend of unease and contemplation. I tidied up the house, not to hide my deeds, but to occupy my hands and prevent my thoughts from tumbling into darkness as Benjamin made his way back. The chill of the air painted his cheeks a rosy hue, while his features remained a mystery, shrouded in silence. He settled back into his seat, inching nearer to my side. As he started to speak, his tone was steady yet resolute. "I seek to grasp, Kelly. I wish to grasp the emotions you've been experiencing, the journey you've been navigating. Yet, I find myself wondering if you still desire this journey, if you still wish for our shared path." "I do," I exclaimed, my words tumbling out in a flurry. "My heart is yours, Benjamin. Our journey together brings me joy. Yet there's a sense of emptiness, as if a crucial piece is absent. I believed that venturing into that untamed realm would provide clarity. Yet it only took me off course." As he leaned in, his fingers gently enveloped my hand, creating a moment that felt like a tale waiting to unfold. "What we've created here, Kelly, is truly something special. Yet, if you're feeling discontent, as if you're trapped, we must discover a path to rekindle the spark in our connection. Perhaps it's time for us to evolve, to journey side by side rather than drift away." His touch radiated warmth, providing a sense of stability I desire, that I declared. gripping his hand tightly. Let's embark on a journey together, discovering a new way forward that ignites our spirits, allowing us to embrace our true selves while holding on to one another. Benjamin nodded, a subtle, cautious smile flickering across his lips. Let's begin with sincerity, with transparency. It's time to share everything, Kelly. We embark on this journey side by side, or we do not embark at all. The exchange that ensued was extensive, brimming with emotions, heartfelt regrets, and vows for the future. We shared tales of our aspirations, our anxieties, and the untamed adventures we both yearned for. In our own unique ways, Benjamin expressed his longing for excitement, a yearning to escape the routine of his job, while I conveyed my craving for artistic liberation, for instance, where I could be free-spirited and unrestricted. As the sun dipped below the horizon, we chose to embark on a journey together, not only for ourselves, but for the bond we share. We would look for support, not solely for myself, but for our relationship as a whole. We would embark on adventures into fresh interests, discover uncharted locations, and find unique paths to bond that night as we lay in bed. Benjamin drew me near his arm, enveloping me, his breath a gentle warmth against my neck. "We'll discover our untamed spirits together," he whispered. And for the first time in ages, I felt a glimmer of hope, a spark of the freedom we both yearned for. But this time, side by side, is there truly a path that leads us out of this darkness? As I closed my eyes, I felt the rhythmic pulse of his heart gently thumping against my back, a comforting presence in the quiet moment. The path before us was unpredictable, filled with obstacles, yet for the first time, I found myself not walking it solo. The morning light pierced through, illuminating the raw truth of what I had done. Once upon a time, Benjamin stumbled upon a letter. From my hidden vantage point, I observed him as he delved into the pages, his expression shifting from bewilderment to astonishment, and finally to anguish. He remained silent for what felt like an eternity, simply sitting there absorbing the unfathomable. As he finally raised his gaze, our eyes locked, revealing a blend of pain and an unspoken inquiry that left me speechless. We shared a moment where he absorbed my words as I unraveled the feelings of emptiness, confusion, and that fleeting touch of madness. In that moment, the air was thick with unspoken words, a stillness that conveyed more than any outburst could. In the weeks that followed, we embarked on a journey of reflection and understanding, exploring our thoughts and feelings, both separately and as a pair. It was a voyage filled with insights, healing, and a transformation of our bond. Benjamin, with his analytical approach, sought to unravel the emotional layers, while I wrestled with my remorse and the quest for inner peace. Simba stayed by our side, a symbol of my deepest struggles and the unwavering affection that our furry companions provide. In the tapestry of our marriage, we encountered a chapter filled with challenges, yet we discovered a new journey, one marked by honesty, healing sessions, and the gradual, often difficult restoration of faith in one another. Our initial encounter with Ellis, the therapist, was filled with anticipation and a touch of anxiety. I sat there, my hands intertwined in my lap, a sense of anticipation washing over me, reminiscent of a young one awaiting a reprimand. Benjamin stood next to me, embodying a blend of solace and challenge. Dr. Ellis, with her soothing presence, encouraged us to open up about our emotions, our reflections, and the journey that brought us here. As I began, my voice quivered with emotion. weaving together the events of that day, the unease, the meeting in the woods, and the unimaginable moment with Simba. Every word resonated with a hidden truth, every sentence a journey into the unknown. Benjamin absorbed every word, his expression, a tapestry of anguish and uncertainty, yet he remained silent. When it was his turn, he shared his disbelief, his pain, and his journey to understand how our lives had led us to this point. Dr. Ellis led us through activities that encouraged us to share openly, to genuinely hear one another, without any preconceived notions. She shared tales of the significance of connection, of delving into the origins of our longings and anxieties. She shared with us ideas such as emotional infidelity, the importance of personal growth in a relationship, and the intricate nature of human desires. We discovered the importance of limits, the necessity of both individual and communal areas, and how to manage the untamed aspects of ourselves without allowing them to ruin what we hold dear. Benjamin and I began to view one another not merely as partners, but as unique individuals, each with our own paths, to traverse our own desires for discovery and self-expression. Our sessions transformed into a refuge, a space where we could delve into the shadowy corners of our souls, free from the worry of instant consequences. Benjamin began to grasp my desire for something beyond the ordinary, and I started to recognize his longing for stability, for a solid ground on which we could both flourish. In his unique manner, Simba wove himself into the fabric of our healing journey. His presence, once a source of sorrow, now became a pathway leading back to the familiar comforts of everyday life. We strolled together not merely for fitness, but as a means to rediscover our bond, to revel in the pure delight of our shared moments. Every bark and every joyful leap marked a journey of healing and the embrace of forgiveness. Benjamin and I began our journey into new adventures together. We embarked on a journey of painting fueled by the tales of the wild man in the woods. It wasn't about replicating his creations, but about embracing our own untamed spirit, our unique manifestations of liberation. We created our art together at times, quietly immersed in our work, and at other moments sharing our techniques, our palettes, and the feelings that inspired us. We embarked on new journeys, beginning with small steps. A weekend escape to a cozy cabin nestled in the mountains, where we could leave the chaos behind and rediscover the magic of our connection. There, beneath the expansive sky, we shared tales of everything and nothing, rekindling the laughter, the touch, the closeness that had been dimmed by the monotony and my betrayal. As time went by, the dynamics of our relationship started to evolve. It wasn't merely about letting go of the past. It was about embracing it, learning from it, and evolving through the experiences. We discovered the importance of expressing our needs, allowing room when necessary, and celebrating the joy found in one another's happiness. The question hung in the air, a whisper of uncertainty in the midst of our fresh beginnings. Could our love endure such a deep betrayal? Or would this mark the start of our downfall? One evening, as we gathered around the warm glow of the fire in our cabin, Benjamin clasped my hand, his gaze mirroring the flickering flames I've been reflecting. He said, his voice calm on our journey, on everything we've experienced together. My faith in us, Kelly, runs deep. I have faith that we can not only endure but flourish. I grasped his hand, sensing the heat of his touch, the genuineness in his voice. I long for that as well. I murmured, my voice heavy with feeling. Let's embark on an adventure, discovering the untamed and nurturing our bond, always with you alongside me. As we gathered around the flickering flames, the warmth enveloped us, healing our hearts and deepening our connection. The journey before us was shrouded in mystery, brimming with both obstacles and opportunities. Yet for the first time we ventured forth side by side, united by a common dream of what our bond might evolve into. Can our love endure the test of time? Indeed, it has the potential not only to endure, but also to transform, adjust, and thrive. We had confronted the depths, and while we stood at the brink, we were no longer gazing into the void, but ahead toward a future we would craft together with sincerity, with affection, and with a fresh appreciation for each other's untamed spirits. If you found this tale captivating, be sure to subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments. This will assist us in crafting more captivating narratives for you.